Does the prestige of the college you go to matter when it comes to applying to medical school? That's the question I'm going to be answering in this video. So a lot of high school seniors right now, many that have multiple acceptances, and congrats on that, are deciding which undergrad school you should attend as a pre-med student. And if you're already a freshman or sophomore at a undergrad school, this might still apply because I know many of you are also concerned about this. And that is, do you have to go to a top undergrad school to be able to get into medical school? And the short answer to that is no. You can get into medical school from any college. Yes, many students even get in from community college. And so if you did 2 years at community college and then you transfer to a 4-year university and finish out pre-med there, you can absolutely still get into medical school. Now, will your 4.0 at a community college look the same as a 4.0 at an Ivy League school? No, it won't. But honestly, a lot of students at some of those Ivy League schools struggle to get a 4.0 because not everyone can get straight A's. And so if you do really well at a community college or any school for that matter, versus doing poorly at a big name school, you might actually even be at an advantage. So there's pros and cons to everything, and that's really the takeaway from this video, is you can get into medical school no matter where you start as a pre-med and no matter what school you're going to. Of course, there are some advantages to going to bigger name schools that have established pre-med programs, and there's no real such thing as a pre-med program. So what I mean by that is they have good support for pre-med students. They make sure you're getting your prereqs in. They have good opportunities, whether it's research, extracurriculars, etc. But even if you are doing this journey by yourself, you're a post-bac student, or you are going back to college, whatever it is, you can do it as long as you take the pre-med recs and the MCAT, you're able to apply to medical school. So if you're trying to debate which school should you go to, do I go to the Ivy League school I got into out of state, or do you go to the state school that you got into? Well, there's a couple of different things that you should consider. First is, which school do you rather go to? You might be a better fit at that school, that local school near you, and on top of that, you might be paying a lot less in tuition. So that is an important factor. You don't want to be in tons of debt that most medical students are. So if you can avoid that, I definitely recommend avoiding that. Now, does that mean if you get into Harvard, you should turn down that acceptance?
It's loading. Oh my God. I just got into Harvard.
Of course not. So you got to weigh the pros and cons. I would say if you get into really big name schools, the networking experience that you can get from that long run in your life probably outweighs the extra debt that you're going to be in. If you just got into any random out-of-state school, maybe it's even something like you got into Michigan, but you're not a Michigan resident, I don't know if it's worth paying that tuition. Obviously, the decision is up to you in the end, but these are the factors that you should be considering. And you don't have to think, oh, you have to go to one specific school to be able to get into medical school, because you truly can get in from any school. It's going to matter how you do at that school, not specifically the school you go to. Now, there is some sort of correlation, but not causation effect, where you see a lot of students at these top schools are getting the top interviews for medical school, but also you end up having a lot of top applicants at those schools. So it's not always necessarily the school itself. Let's say it's not always Harvard that is the only reason that these students are getting top interviews, but you generally have really good pre-med students at Harvard, if that makes sense. So these are some things I would consider when figuring out which college you want to go to. And if you're already at a university and you're thinking about transferring, or you're at community college and you're thinking about which four-year university to go to, in the end, again, it truly doesn't matter as much as most students think. Yes, does the name bear some weight, and some reputations are better than others. Some schools have grade deflation, and sometimes that's factored in, but sometimes it's not. So for example, I went to Cornell. We had some grade deflation, I would say, and medical schools knew that when applying. But with that said, okay, so maybe your 3.7 at Cornell looks a little bit better than a 3.7 at a state school, but if you get a 2.8 at Cornell, well, that's still looking bad, even with the grade deflation. So at that point, you're almost better off being at another school and getting a 3.7 plus. So this is how I would think about it. Again, you're gonna be fine as long as you have the right fundamentals and do well. And so that means learn how to properly study, do well in the MCAT, get in the right extracurriculars, make sure you're getting that shadowing, the clinical experience, and make sure you're doing it for you, not just to check a box, but you want to get that shadowing experience because you want to know what this field is actually like. And so if you want help with any of this, you want to want help deciding which school you should go to, if you're a high school senior and on, we have an all-inclusive advising program that helps with all of that. Literally from when you start pre-med to getting into medical school, we help you the entire way. So click the link below, schedule a call, and I look forward to speaking with you.